Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful Friday day out here in the Pacific Northwest. I hope you guys are ready to end your week. Today, we're going to be talking about selection quests. We're going to be talking about what you need to do in order to prepare for them, why you need to be preparing right now, and of course, what the benefits of doing them are going to be. We'll also be talking about multiple compositions for each of the select quests. Let's go ahead and dig in. So select quests are going to be the only way that you can get Gargus, Camillo, and Moraga. These are going to be UR units, and each selection quest is going to have 10 missions. Each of those missions is going to drop shards and the individual unit themselves. You cannot pull for these units. These units are pretty unique and fun and quirky. They don't have limit breaks, but they definitely have their own uses. Currently in JP, there is a light selection quest for Camillo, an earth selection quest for Moraga, a wind selection quest for Gargus, and this month they're going to announce the thunder selection quest, which should be, we know the element's going to be thunder, we just don't know what the unit is going to be. Now, in order to clear a selection quest, you do have to bring MR and below units of the element of that selection quest. So for Camillo, for example, in the light selection quest, you can only bring light element and below MR units. There's 10 missions and it goes all the way up to level 90. There is a JP quality of life that's been talked about, which might be implemented in global, it might not, where you may be able to bring the unit from the selection quest. So for example, if you're on mission 10 and you have Camillo, he would probably be, if you used all his shards, right, maybe around 85. So you could potentially bring him if they do implement that quality of life change. Not confirmed yet, as far as I know. Why are you going to want these units? Well, Camillo has a vertical jump, which gives confusion. And as soon as you hear Dragoon, you should be like, oh my God, Dragoon. Not to mention Camillo is like the most handsome character in the entire game. Moraga has an axe TMR that gives initial AP plus 25, which makes it the best axe weapon in the game, in my opinion. Gargus is a black mage main job that also has calculator-like range and damage on his modified 120 abilities. He's a beast. They're all kind of unique and fun, and they're free. You don't have to, pull for shards. You just have to do the missions. It's exciting PvE content for me because you get to utilize these MR and below units that you've had forever. You've never really had a use for, and you can finally be like, all right, I get to take my MRs into PvE, which I think a lot of people besides myself would be excited for. Let's talk about some compositions, because there are a variety of compositions. There are units that are more important, and not everybody has their MR or below units for these elements level 99. Now, the light selection quest is going to be coming first, then the earth, then the wind, then the lightning, and we still have a month or two before we get our first one in global. So what are the most important units? What compositions are we going to be looking at? And most importantly, what units have their EX when these come out? These are a lot of questions, so let's just talk about some formations, talk about some basics. First and foremost, I would encourage everybody to set up a formation page like this if you are trying to plan, because your units might not have, for example, Esper resonance with units that you need. So for example, Phoebe is my only unit with Bahamut resonance. I do have Shiva, I have Ramu, but notice that my Elshura is using Ochu. Still not bad. I could probably find a better Esper. Vistral is using Red Chocobo. I would love to put Odin on Vistral. He doesn't have the resonance. Another situation you might run into is like you have Shiva resonance on all your characters, but you have no resonance with other Espers because you're not used to using these characters together. So put them all together, make sure you have gear, Espers that you can kind of power on and put on. Other things you want to think about is what units have their EXs. In this current situation, when we're talking about light units, that's of course going to be Phoebe, and then Vistral also has his EX in JP as well. Whether or not that's going to come before the light selection quest is implemented, we don't know. And I would almost argue Vistral's EX doesn't make a huge difference with the exception of base stats. So I think in terms of light element units, you're gonna be wanting to really focus on El Shura as kind of your primary light unit to level up if you don't have your light MRs leveled up, because El Shura has the mastery ability for light unit allies max HP up and light attack up. That's going to be a great party-wide buff. The other light unit on here that is not shown is Grace. Now, I am going to swap her out here with Phoebe. Phoebe, of course, has her 120. Now, Grace would be absolutely wonderful as well. She is a great healer. She can be a little offensive. I honestly think with the combination of Grace, Phoebe, and Fina all having access to full life, you're probably going to have a pretty easy time as long as one of them is set up as a healer. The problem you're going to run into, though, is you almost have access to too many healers in your light composition. So for me, I'm going to set Fina up as damage, and then I'm going to have the healer slot probably with Phoebe. The reason I'm choosing Phoebe over Grace is because Phoebe does have access to Comet and Quicken and Meteor, and she also has access in her sub White Mage kit to Full Life, Curata, and Cura. That's where I'm focused. She has higher base stats because she's 120. Now, if you look at Grace, though, because Grace is an MR, Grace could kind of easily fit the same boat because she does have access to Holy. She has Curaga, Full Life, Regen, and then you can give her Sub Mage to Green Mage. She can have Ruin. So either of them are going to be great. I personally just think Phoebe is going to be better because she has access to Quicken. I do also have Bahamut Resonance with Phoebe to kind of make her a little bit faster. For VCs here, and in terms of gear requirements, the only gear requirement that this composition really requires in terms of TMRs, I think, would be Mariel having bells or some type of AP generation on her. Mariel is a very AP starved character, and especially if you're running her for Subcalculator, she's gonna burn through her AP so quickly that you really have to have bells on her. So that's the only real requirement I would say in this composition. I might even replace Mariel with another character like Grace here and just go for like magic damage if I didn't have bells for Mariel or Mariel leveled. Now, in terms of VCs, there's some interesting things you can do for VCs. Red Chocobo is one of the more interesting. It does give light attack up, but it also gives light unit Dark Eater up 20. In terms of VCs, I did also want to utilize the Black Rose Helena VC, and you're going to see this in some of my other builds as well, because I wanted Phoebe to have a variety of ways to deal damage. I didn't want just a healer idling there on my team, and I could do this with Grace as well. I wanted her to have access to Shadow Flare, which is a pretty high range, medium damage, lowers area resistance attack. I think it's gonna be useful. Other than that, not much I'm really thinking of in this composition. It's your standard bread and butter light element comp. If there were other, VCs I would substitute, I would, if I didn't have Bahamut, I might run Rama. If I didn't have, like slash resistance or HP, I might run some other defensive VC. There's kind of a lot of different combinations you could do here. Let's talk about MR Earth units now. MR Earth units are very interesting. And the reason MR Earth is interesting is you have a variety of units and you have a variety of compositions you could run. Now, for my composition, I'm gonna run Mont, Etchery, Lorenzo, Murmur, and Durando. On the JP side, Etchery, Murmur, and Durando do have their 120s. Whether they'll have it or not when the Earth Selection quest comes out, we do not know. Mont also has his 120. Mont is like the non-negotiable, right? He is the non-negotiable unit that needs to be in this composition. Lorenzo is a little bit unique, and I think if there's a unit that could be swapped here for any other Earth unit, it would probably be Lorenzo. Lorenzo is here because I do have the Titan VC, and he's one of the only units. The Titan VC will help the party because this is a physical party. He has Man-Eater up, it does give Earth units physical evasion, but he also get benefits from the Pierce attack up 10 and from the attack 30%. So this is a very powerful card for Lorenzo, and it really just makes him a really solid damage dealer. You could change this out though, and honestly, you could probably change Murmur out for Livial, or you could swap Mustadio in. Now, in terms of Murmur versus Livial, I do like Murmur more than Livial, just because I like Murmur's kit a little bit more. She has access to Jamming Thrust. She also has access to Cura in her primary kit. She also has access to Flare and Drain with Sub Black Mage. The Valier, if you swap her in here, she's okay. She has Sub Calculator, right? So she does have access to height-based Cure and Cura and level 4 Stonera. Pretty good. She doesn't have the mastery ability that gives Earth Attack up. No units basically have the elemental mastery that give Earth Attack up, so it's a little unfortunate there. But I like the utility and the survival of Murmur. I think Jamming Thrust is going to be extremely powerful and relevant, and I think she's just going to have a little bit more damage. I think the Valiel, she's a little slow. Her damage is also a little not as much, I think, as Murmur. Durando is interesting. Now, there's a bit of a situation where you could run Durando, Mustadio, Mont, and you're gonna get a situation where, you know, you actually have 3 missile units in your composition. So you could run an Earth missile composition with Mustadio, because Mont's attacks, if you go into his primary High Lord ability, he will be using Stone Throw Mastery, which is actually an Earth Elemental missile-based attack. You also have Durando, who has access to Gunner sub, and you have Mustadio. So you do have a situation where you could run triple Gunner or any type of Gunner Earth composition. It's very interesting, I think. Another important thing with Etri, and why I have Etri here, is you do have Etri with access to Sub Knight. So if you're going to be setting Moraga and other slash-based abilities, sub Etri Knight, and she'll be able to do slash attacks for more damage. There, you know, could be an argument made for Bailo, but I really just like Etri more than Bailo, and I think, especially with her EX, she'll probably be a higher performing character. Durando, if you have his VC, is a monster. And between him and Lorenzo, like, I think they're going to destroy things, particularly with Durando's VC. If you aren't familiar with it, it does give party-wide acquired AP up 30%, critical hit rate up 15 for Durando, and it gives defense piercing rate up 20, defense up 15, and movement up 1. So he is going to be all over the map, dealing a crap ton of damage. I just love it. You know, you could sub Gunner on him, get him some range. You could give him some AP generation. There's just so many different combinations here. If there was a rule of thumb, I would say build your Earth composition for slash in mind. If you have a lot of Gunner Earth units, you could set up for Gunner. You could run a situation where you're running like Livial and Murmur and kind of have 2 magic VCs on them. So like if you don't have Etri, for example, or you don't have Lorenzo leveled, you could maybe throw those in there. You know, there's just a variety of things you could do to kind of balance out this composition. I think though, if you have Mont, if you have Lorenzo, if you have Durando, you can kind of sub in and adjust whatever you want to make the composition work for you. I think you will need some form of healing. Maybe you do need 2 forms of healing, so you run Lavalier and Murmur as well together. It's going to be a tough call, but I think it's going to be pretty fun and pretty easy. One other note here on VCs, if you do have the Greetings from Afar VC maxed out, it does also give Earth Attack unit up 20. So that's going to be really good for this formation. I didn't have any other good Earth VCs, party-wide Earth VC effects to put on, so I just put Ifrit for the attack up since we were running kind of a physical-based party here. Let's talk about Wind, because Wind gets a little weird. Wind is weird. Let's just put it that way. Wind, you only have 6 units, and it's a little awkward, right? You have Kadia here, who is kind of a healer, kind of a green mage. You have only 4 MR units, right? So you're going to be running some R or SR units as well. You have Lorela, who is a critical hit rate monster. So, right, so this is going to be shooting, pierce, magic, slash, magic slash, right? So when you're looking at your wind formation, you really have to think about what on earth you're doing and what you want. Because even with all the VCs I have and every wind unit maxed, I really struggled to make this formation kind of work, and I even have some doubts right now. Lorela does have critical hit rate plus 50. So I did want to utilize that a little bit in her build. We did just get the 2B VC, which gives luck up 35% and critical damage up 25. So I threw that on her with bells, and the formation is basically going to be Lorela as the primary damage dealer, right? Now, I do have Helena, and my choice was either Helena or Cadia, and I think either of them would work for healing. Helena is sub white mage here. You can see my Helena is not maxed out and not ready. This is still a build in progress. Helena, of course, Imperil, Ruin, and Dispel is kind of what I wanted here. I am running the staff for Cura. We do have the Black Rose Helena VC, which again gives access to a really powerful ability, but if you're running it on Helena, it is going to give agility plus 10%. So when I was thinking about Helena versus Cadia, I was really thinking about this VC and the buff that it would give to Queen Helena in this situation. So that is why I kind of chose Helena over Cadia. Cadia also, if we just go into her kit real quick, I'll show you guys. She's not the most remarkable unit. She does have access to Spellblade, right? So if you did want to go like a wind slash Spellblade composition, you could do like a wind magic based spell slash composition. You could like replace Sosha with Helena and go like magic, and you could go like Spellblade with Dario, and you could do like crazy ass shit there. You also have Spellblade with Mia right here as well. So you would technically have 3 Spellblades in the party, which could be pretty good, right? Lorela has Knight and Viking, so you could even go Viking sub or Knight sub. And let's see if she gets launch with Viking sub. I don't see launch. I would have to, let's go look in her kit real quick. Because if she gets access to launch, that is critical hit rate plus 35% on that ability. Do I just not have it unlocked? Oh yeah, she does get it. So she does have access to launch. So you could run a wind slash composition, like a wind slash crit magic composition, right? Like you could just run the wonkiest composition in the world. Sosha is a little weird as well, but if you wanted to run sub ranger with Sosha, that would also pair really well with Lorela, right? So wind is a little weird. Another thing to look at would be the Exorcist VC, which gives wind unit critical hit rate up 25. So you're kind of adding on to that critical hit rate in the party. It's not the best. I think looking at this now, I might build this composition to go like replace Sosha with Helena here. I actually think this is what I would want to do. Gosh, what are we doing here? All right, we'll actually take the critical damage off, and we are going to put tetrasulfide on her. And then we're going to we need slash up. So let's do, oh, this is tough, right? Because now if I wanted slash up in the party, I don't think there's a magic slash up VC that I could throw on. I might be better off throwing on all elemental attack up 15 here because it has magic 62 on it. There is a variety of things. You guys are kind of seeing me live, like double checking my build now because I'm like, oh, that would be interesting, right? I could just run Chocobo well, no, I couldn't run Chocobo because I am running the Black Rose Helena VC. Gosh. I mean, I could run Mobius. If you got Mobius maxed, you could run Mobius. Gosh, yeah. Anyway, sorry to digress there. I just got fully distracted. You could run the missile attack up VC as well. All right, so you could run new test subjects if you're going the missile formation that we had talked about earlier. Yeah. Okay, I feel good. Whenever you're theory crafting and you're kind of adjusting builds, you can kind of go a little bit crazy. You could maybe also do like slash attack up. Gosh, man, this is hard because you have Dario, right? And he's kind of built for magic in this situation, but I could run technically sub paladin with like taunting blade and blade bash on him, and then instead of putting Rama on him, I could put Rama on Helena, right? And then I could put like Moraga on him or something. That would be potentially viable, right? So I could do like Moraga here, and then we could just go like full crazy. Like, I feel like this is full crazy, but it might work, right? Like, this would give that slash attack power up for the spell blades in the party, and the magic users now have Rama VC on, so he's at 452, and he doesn't even have a slash attack weapon equipped. So, I mean, we could do that with Dario, right? We could probably make it work a little bit, but this is kind of the mind work that goes into this, and the sooner you figure this out and start planning for this, the sooner you're going to be able to farm Esper Resonance, level up the units that you want, and have the plan that you need. Finally, there is the MR Thunder composition, which is the biggest no-brainer pretty much in the world. We have Sir O 120, which is amazing. A Limb, of course, for her mastery ability, which gives lightning units HP and attack up. Shoot Cell is going to have access to the Cloud Greatsword, which gives lightning attack up, which is going to make him even more powerful. I left his VC slot blank because we're going to have the Coral VC, which is going to give lightning up for the entire party by that point. Salir for healing, and then of course Igaion on Ravi's, because Ravi's is the only unit besides Sid that can really benefit from Igaion in this situation. And then you do have other units like Vistral. You could put Liarte in, right? You could do like some missile shenanigans with like Shoots Out Sub Ranger. You could run a Limb Sub Double Gunner, and you could put Liarte in, and then you could like chase Sir O out and put in, gosh, I don't even know if there's other missile attack. I don't think there is. I don't think, okay, I have to check because I have used Mariluke so little that I don't know what her sub jobs are. Yeah, so she doesn't really benefit from missile at all, and I'm pretty sure Ravi's is just all tank. Yep. So yeah, that's kind of what you have to prepare for. Start planning on your MR units now, build your compositions, get your resonance, and be ready, because this is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of planning because you're going to have to level your MR units up. It's going to be a lot of work. So hope you guys are all ready. If you do want to support me, you can use my affiliate link, dig.gs/coins. And as always, have a great rest of your day, everybody.